Old becomes new. There's a famous off-road mod for the SG Forester that's called the Center Diff Lock mod. You should go watch this video by Power of Your Brains. We can do this same modification to our modern CVT equipped Subarus. It makes them incredibly capable. Technically, the 4EAT, the 4-speed electronic automatic transmission that's in the SG Forester, has a center clutch, not a center diff. You can see the clutch pack between his hands there in the picture, and you can see one of the clutch plates on the ground. It has a wet clutch like a motorcycle. Our current CVT equipped Subarus also have a center clutch, so we can do this modification also. Now I'd like to take a second to address the misnomer. So it's called the Center Diff Lock mod, even though it's actually a center clutch, as you can see from that disassembled picture, because Land Cruisers and also Land Rovers have a center locking diff, which changes the vehicle from all-wheel drive, which you can drive with on the pavement, to four-wheel drive, which is not safe to drive on the pavement. And this modification does something very, very similar. I'll explain in the next slide. Alright, back to Subaru world where we have center clutches. It's often called the transfer clutch because it's what transfers power to the rear axle. It's controlled with a solenoid, which is basically an electromagnet that opens a valve to send high pressure transmission oil to clamp the clutch pack plates together. You can apply any value from 0% to 100% with a pulse width modulated signal. This mod lets the driver flip a switch to apply full clutch locking pressure, which basically makes it act like a four-wheel drive, or zero clutch locking pressure, which makes it act like a front-wheel drive car. Alternatively, you could have one switch position set as normal, which would be all-wheel drive, where the computer controls variable center clutch pressure. My friend Enzo has done this modification on his SG Forester, and he's also installed a rear locker, so this thing should be really capable, but you're about to see that there is a bit of a problem. Watch the wheels carefully, especially what the front wheels are doing versus the back wheels. And I've used 2 camera angles so you can see all the wheels of the vehicle. So it looked like it was front-wheel drive only, right? I mean, it basically was. Even though he's done the modification, his center clutch is really worn out, or it's not wired correctly. And the front axle is spinning a lot, and the rear axle is not spinning at all. And that difference in speed means that the center clutch is slipping. Here's another example. This is Milton's Crosstrek. He has a CVT, a center clutch, and also a rear locker. And you'll see it does something very similar. So as you saw there, Milton's Crosstrek was basically acting like a front-wheel drive vehicle also. One of the front wheels was spinning, neither of the back wheels were. That means the center clutch was slipping a lot. It was presumably healthy because he recently swapped it, though it won't be healthy for very long if he keeps doing that to it. The computer probably just wasn't commanding enough center clutch pressure. So we need to find the wire for the all-wheel drive solenoid and control it manually. And we can let the computer control a dummy load, which is just a similar resistor, so that it still sees current and the computer is happy. If you watch that video that I mentioned earlier, he explains all this. So this will let the driver send either 0 volts or 12 volts to the all-wheel drive solenoid to apply either full clutch locking pressure or 0 locking pressure. It seems backward, but that's the way it's wired in the SG Forester, and it's probably the way that it's wired in the modern Foresters. A little backwards, but long story short, either all the volts or none of the volts will give you full-wheel drive or front-wheel drive. That's the concept anyway. I'm not trying to show off or anything, but this is what ideal center clutch behavior looks like. This is my Subaru. It's still new, it's very healthy, and they've probably updated some of the settings to make the center clutch a little more aggressive, let it lock a little bit sooner. You'll notice that if a front tire spins, there's always a rear tire spinning at the same time, which means that overall the front axle is spinning at the same speed as the rear axle. Here's what it looks like. Hopefully you noticed that when I had a spinning front wheel, it was being matched with a spinning rear wheel, like same speed and everything. This means that my center clutch was not slipping. This is like ideal behavior. This is how a traditional four-wheel drive with open diffs acts. I think that even with my car, there's still something to be gained by being able to manually control the center clutch. But let me talk about the difference between all-wheel drive and four-wheel drive for a second. I think some people are a little too loose with these terms. Let me define them very, very carefully. All-wheel drive is when both the front and the rear axles get power, but they can spin at different speeds. This means that they're not damaged when you drive them on the pavement. Four-wheel drive is when both the front and rear axles get power, but they are mechanically forced to spin at the same speed. And there will be damage if you use four-wheel drive on the pavement. That's kind of the advantage of all-wheel drive, is that you can have all the wheels getting power, but safely use it on the pavement, though it is usually less capable off-road. All right, here's my summary slide. We need to copy this mod from the SG Forester and bring it to the modern CVT-equipped Subarus. It should work the same way. Both transmissions have a center clutch pack that is controlled with a solenoid. We just need to identify that solenoid wire. You should watch this video. He explains everything in tremendous detail. I'm happy to chat about it down in the comments section, and I think as a community, we really need to figure this out. It'll add a lot of capability to our vehicles and decrease the wear and tear that we put on them when we take them off-road by preemptively locking the center clutch all the way before you hit a challenging obstacle. You can actually decrease wear and tear on many of the components. Another cool benefit is that if you have it wired to flip the switch to give you front wheel drive only, so 0 center clutch pressure, you could have a different size tire as a spare on the rear, like the original factory donut, and you could just limp off the trail in front wheel drive mode without damaging your all wheel drive system. Anyway, a lot of cool potentials here. Please let me know what you think down in the comments, and as a community we can figure this out. Thanks for watching.